talk a lot about keeping a long-term view. This is not something that I, in particular, excel at. Some people have more of I use a boat analogy. My husband is one of those pretty solid, steady guys, right? He's on the boat and he never really loses sight of the horizon. So boat's on the top of a wave. He knows where the horizon is. We're just on the top of a wave. Boat's in the crest of a wave. No, trough, bottom of the wave. He knows where the horizon is. I struggle with that. Wherever I am on the boat is where I think I am in life. If I'm up, I'm up. If I'm down, I'm down. And this is, again, something that I have to really work on, and a lot of people who operate like me have to work on, which is understanding that progress is not linear and preparing myself mentally ahead of time. When I used to do budgeting, I used to do all or nothing budgeting, and I used to be like, I can't step a toe out of line. And then the second I was like, well, the whole thing's broken, so let's start it again next month. I'm going to do what I want this month. Terrible attitude, not helpful. So I have had to mentally prepare myself for, hey, sometimes I'm going to color outside of the lines, and that's okay. How many of you guys are on TikTok and familiar with, yeah, all right, some people did raise their hands. You don't have to, but RIP TikTok. I know, right? So how many of you all are familiar with the TikTok trend? We listen and we don't judge. All right, great. We listen and we don't judge is the attitude we want to apply to managing our money. This is information. We want to be curious about it. We are not, as we're starting to get into this, like we're all taking a new leaf, new year, new us. We are not using our spending habits and our saving habits and everything as an excuse to beat up on ourselves. We are listening and we're not judging, and we're gathering information so we can make better, more informative choices in the future. Good to see there's people out there like me in the crowd. But yes, we are using all of this to just gather information. It's a lot. An analogy I sometimes use about like feelings and certain things is like walking out of the house and being like, oh, it's cold outside, but I wasn't planning on it being cold, and I don't want it to be cold, so I don't acknowledge it being cold. It's not cold. And instead of going and putting a jacket on, it's kind of just like being like, well, I didn't want it to be cold. It's inconvenient that it is, so I'm going to go throughout the day pretending it's not cold, even though it's cold. And I'm going to, throughout the day, be acting like a person who is cold because guess what? It's cold. And so what we're trying to work at is getting this feedback from our emotions, observing these things that we're doing, and planning ahead and reacting. You know what would be better than denying it was cold because I had plans and I didn't want it to be cold and trying to act as though I could influence the cold? Putting on a jacket because it was cold, and then proceeding throughout the rest of my day. So a lot of these things we're going to plan. We're going to acknowledge, hey, I backslid a little bit on this. Things were going on. That's okay. I'm curious about that. Okay, how do I get back up? How do I put a preventive measure in place? How do I think about these things in a way that makes it possible for me to move forward?